Yeah, man. And keep it right. There you go. There you go. Do it again. Raya Shalom. Sar Waha Slaki. Sar Waha Kodam. We're about to say these prayers in the Hebrew. All right. This the you got. This the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Okay, come on. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Haya, Shemka, Yahweh, Balatuka, Taba'ah, Ratazayaka, Haya, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Haya, Bashamayim, Nathan Lanao, Lakum, Cow, Yawam, Wasalak now, Kawawat now, Kasalak now, Kawawati now, Wala Tabia Aya now, Banasaya one, Abal, Hawashaya now, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakut, Waha'alam, Wataparat, Lawalumium, Amun.
In the English, our Father, which art, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. So be it.
This is the Hakak, the power in the Hebrew. Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Baba Kasha, Nathan Lanawa, Hakak, Lara Pa'ah, Kal Makala, Wakal Marawa, Hakak, Latahar, Hamatazarayim, Hakak, Lahakrium, Hamathium, Hakak, Arakawat, Hatama'ala, Lagar Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, the water among.
In English, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the leper, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you, so be it.
This is the blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh, Wa Yahweh Shah, Wa Miyaka Alam, Wa Alahayim, Matazibiyah, Alawap Yahanna, Ha Alawapim, Ha Saranyim, Ha Quatazanyim, Ha Koyoyoyim, Wa Akwatium, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, the water among.
In the English, bless you, Yahweh, and Yahweh Shai, and Michael, and the angels, commanding General YAHANNA, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you, so be it.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 121 in the Hebrew. Asha'ah, Ayunya, Ahorium, Mayan, Yaba'ai, Isaiah, Ma'aim, Yahweh, Aisha, Shemayim, Wa'arataza, Al-Yathan, Lamawat, Regalka, Al-Yanawam, Shemarka, Hana, La'ah, Yanawam, Wala'ah, Yayashun, Shawamar, Yasha'ala, Yahweh, Shemarka, Yahweh, Tazarka, Al-Yad, Yom Yakah, Yamamam, Hashamash, La'ayakaka, Wayarak, Balayala, Yahweh,
Yashamarka, Makarai, Yashamar, Athnapashka, Yahweh, Yashamar, Tazaaka, Wabawaaka, Mayata, Wa'id Awalum.
In the English, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills.
I will lift up mine eyes to the hills.
For which cometh my help?
For which cometh my help?
My help cometh from Yahweh.
My help cometh from Yahweh.
Which made heaven and earth.
Which made heaven and earth.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He that keepeth thee,
He that keepeth thee
will not slumber.
will not slumber.
Behold,
Behold,
he that keepeth Yasha
he
Allah
that keepeth Yasha
shall neither slumber nor
shall
sleep.
neither slumber nor sleep.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand.
Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand.
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
nor the moon by night.
nor the moon by night.
Yahweh shall preserve thee
Yahweh shall preserve thee
from all evil.
from all evil.
He shall preserve thy soul.
He shall preserve thy soul.
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out
and thy coming in.
and thy coming in.
From this time forth
This time forth
and even forevermore.
even forevermore.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 83 in the Hebrew. Alahayim, Al Damayalaka, Al Takarash, Wa Al Tashakwat, Al Kaya, Hana, Awabyaka, Yahama, Yawan, Ra'ash, Al Imaka, Ya'ariyawam, Sawada, Wayata, Ya'itazawa, Al Tazapawanyaka, Amarwa, Lakawa, Wanakakinum, Magalia, Wala'a, Yazakar, Sham Yasha'alam, Awada, Kaya, Nawaitazawa, Laba, Yakadwa, Al Yaka, Baryat, Yakaratwa, Ahoya, Adawam, Wayashama'alam, Yum, Mawa'aba, Wahargayum, Gabal, Wa'aimawan, Wa'aimalak, Palashat, I'm Yeshabya, Tazawar, Gam Ashawar, Nalawa'a, Amam, Hayawa, Zarawai, Labanya Lawat, Selah, Aisha, Lahum, Kamajan, Kasa, Yasara'a, Kayabyan, Banakal, Koyashwan, Nashamadwa, Ba'aya Dara, Hayawa, Daman, La'adma, Shayatamwa, Nada, Yamawa, Ka'arab, Wakazaba, Wakazabak, Wakatazal, Mana'ai, Ka Nayasakamwa, Ashar, Amarwa, Nayarasha, Lanawa, At, Na'awat, Alahum, Alhaya, Shayatamwa, Kagagala, Kakwash, Lapanya Raka, Ka'ash, Tabia Ira, Wakala Haba, Tahalat, Hariyam, Khan, Taradatma, Basiraka, Wabasa, Wapatka, Tabahalam, Mala'a, Panyahum, Kualawan, Wayabukwashwa, Shumka, Yahawa, Yabashwa, Waya, Bahalwa, Adyaid, Waya Kaparwa, Waya Abadwa, Waya Adayawa, Kaya Atam, Shumka, Yahawa, Labadka, Al Yawan, Al Kaha Arataza.
In English, keep not thy silence,
Keep not thy
O Yahweh. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off. For being a nation, in the name of Yasha Allah shall be no more remembrance. For they have consulted together.
And the Israelites, Moab, and the Hagarees, the Baal, and Ammon,
And Amalek, the Philistines,
the inhabitants of Tyre,
Check. Slack it. Where I'm at. Oh, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Ashur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Selah, do unto them is unto the Midianites, as unto Sisera, as unto Jabin, at the brook of Kison, which perished in Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb and like Zeheb. Yea, all their princes, as Zebah and as Amunah, who said, let us take to ourselves the house of Yahweh in possession. O my power, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth a wood, and as a flame set the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name. O Yahweh, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the most high over all the earth. Sorry. Shall I be seated? Check. 1 2 1 2. Ah, there we go. There you go. Yeah, buddy. All right. Shalom, Israel. Yahweh Shemashah B'tah, Yahweh Shemal, Athaba Shemashah. You checking in. This is I.S.U.P.K. Fayetteville, North Carolina Sabbath service. You understand what I'm saying? We're going to get this thing rocking, pick up where we left off last week. Shout out to everybody in Chicago, Midwest weekend. Godspeed, safe travels to all the brothers and sisters on their way out there. Y'all get it on. You understand? We're going to pick up where we left off last week. We're in the book of Genesis. And we're in the book of Genesis, chapter 37. We're going to start at verse 5. We'll be getting into Joseph and the coat, the colors, and all the, the whole story with that. All right. We're in chapter 37 in the book of Genesis, and we're going to start at verse 5. We're going to do in traditional fashion. You understand? We're going to read it in the Syrian Hebrew first, and then we're going to read it in English. You understand? Feel free to follow along at home. And got any questions, type them in the chat. All right, let's get it.
Come on. It's the book of Genesis, chapter 37, verse 5 in the Hebrew. YAHANNA. Oh, Salaki. Okay, come on. YAHANNA. YAHWH Kalawam. God. La'aka Yawa. Sapawa. I Wadad. Salaki Iwad. Shana. Salaki Shana'a. Atwa, verse 6. Waya Amar, Aliyah Salaka, Aliyahum, Shamaywan, Na'a, Haka Lawam, Hazah, Ashar, Kalamathia, verse 7. Wahana, Ana Ka Nawa, Ma'ala Mayom, Allah Mayam, Batawak, Hasha Da, Wahana, Kwama, Alamatya, Wagum, Natazaba, Wahana, Tasaba Yana, Alamat Yakum, Wata Shat Ka 1 La'alamatya, verse 8. Waya Amarwa Lawa Aka Akya Wa Hama Lak, Hana Thoughts like it, Thama Lak, Ila Yanawa, Masha Wal, Thama Shaw, Banwa, Waya Sa Pawa, Iwad Shana, Atwa, Al Kala Mat Ya Wa Al Daba Dabarawa. It's like Dabar Ya Wa. Verse 9. Waya Kalam Iwad Kala Wam Akar Waya Sapar Atwa La Akyawa Waya Amar Hana Kala Matyan Kala Wam Iwad Wahana Hasha Mash Waha Yarak Wa Wa'a Wa'akad Ishar Kawa Ka Bayam Mashat Ka Wayam Laya. Verse 10. Waya Sapar Al Abba Yawa Wa'al Aka Yawa Waya Ga'ai. It's like Waya Ga'ar Bawa Abba Yawa Waya Amar Lawa Ma Haka Lawam Haza Ashar Kala Mat Haba Wa'a Naba Wa'a Anya Waya Slaki Wa'a Mak Wa'a Kayak Lahashat Kawat Laka Arataza. Verse 11. Waya Kwa Na Awa Bawa Akyawa Wa'a Ba Yawa Shamar At Haba Slaki Hada Bar. Verse 12. Wayalakawa Akyawa Lara I Wat At Tiza'a One. So it's like a Ta'azawan.
Verse 11.
It's like I don't read verse 11.
Yeah, stop. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So like this, the book of Genesis, chapter 37, verse 5 in the Hebrew, in the English, like it. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. Verse 6. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood round about and made obeisance to my sheaf. Verse 8. And his brother said to him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us, or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. Verse 9. And he dreamed yet another dream and told it his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. Verse 10. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth? Verse 11. And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the saying. It's the book of Genesis, chapter 12. It's like chapter 37, verse 12 in the Hebrew. Wayala kawa, akyawa, lara'ai wat, at, taza'awan, abayaham, basha kam. Verse 13. Waya amar, yasha'ala, al, yawasap, hala wa'a, akyak, ra'ai yum, basha kam, laka, wa'a shalakak, alayaham, waya amar lawa hananaya. Verse 14. Waya amar lawa laka na'ai ra'ah at shalawam. Oh, shalawam salakia. Shalom. Good night. Hataza awan. Right, it did. Good night. It did. Waha Shabanaya, the bar, Waya Shala Kawa Hawa, Ma'ai Mak, Haba Rawan, Waya Ba'a Shaba Ma, verse 15. Waya mataza'a ha wa ayash waya hana ha'ai salaki ta'ai ba shara ya salaki waya sha'ala. Good night. Waya sha'ala ya ha wa. Good night. Ha'ayash la amar ma taba kwash. Verse 16. Waya amar ad akya ana kaya maba kwash haga yada hayagada. Come on. Na'a laya ayapa hum ra'ayum. Verse 17. Waya amar ha'ayash nasa iwa Maza Kaya Shama'it Ya Amar Yo Slakia Amar Yum Nalaka Dat Ya Na Waya Lak Waya Sap Slakia Yawasap Akar Akyawa Waya Mataza Waya Matazaam Daba Han, verse 18. Waya Ra'awa, Atwa, Marakak, Waba Taram, Ya Yakurab, Allah Hayam, Waya Ta Na Kalawa, Atwa, Lahamatwa, Salaki. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 37, verse 11 in the Hebrew. It's like in the English. And his brethren, it's like verse 12. And his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. Verse 13. And Israel said unto Joseph, do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, here am I. Verse 14. And he said to him, go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. Verse 15. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, what seekest thou? Verse 16. And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where their flock, it's like where they feed their flocks. Verse 17. And the man said, they are departed hence, for I heard them say, let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren and found them in Dothan. Verse 18. And when they saw him afar, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him.
Good night, man. Own brothers conspiring against you to slay you over jealousy.
Over jealousy.
Man, bro. I mean, I read the story when I was younger, and I couldn't figure out. I was like, dang, I got 3 brothers, it's 4 of us. You understand? I could never imagine doing that to none of my brothers.
Right.
You understand? But hey, it is what it is. It's in the record book. It happened, man.
Right.
Let's learn from it. It's interesting. There's a Dothan. It says Dothan right here. And there's a Dothan, Alabama, Banca, y'all. It's interesting, right? Go ahead.
I didn't even know that. Yes. Most incorrect. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 37, verse 19 in the Hebrew. Waya Amarwa, Ayash, Al, Akyawa, Hana, Baal, Hakalamawat, Halaza, Ba'a, verse 20. Wa'aita, La Lakawa, Wana Haragaha, Wana Sha Laka Hawa, Ba'akar, Haba Rawat, Wa'a Mara Nawa, Kaya, Ra'ai, Akala Ta Hawa, Wana Ra'a, Ma, Yahawa, Salaki, Kala Mat Yawa, verse 21. Wayashamai, Ra'ai, Salaki, Ra'a Waban, Wayataza La Hawa, Maya Dam, Waya Amar La'a, Naka Nawa, Napash, verse 22. Waya Amar, Alham, Ra'awa Ban, Al, Hashapa, Kawa, Dam, Hasha La Yakawa, Atwa, Al, Haba War, Hazah, Ashar, Bamadabar, Wayad, Al Tasha La Kawa Bawa La Ma'ai La Slaki La Ma'ain Hatazayal Atwa Maya Dom Laha Shaba Wa Laha Shabawa Al Abya Wa. Verse 23. Wayahaya Ka Ashar Ba'a Yawasap Al Akaya Slaki Akyawa Waya Pash Ya Tawa Waya Pashatwa Salaki At Yaso Yawasap At Kata Natawa At Kat Nat Katnat Hapa Sayam Ashar Alaya Al Salaki Aliyawa. Verse 24. Wayakwaka Hawa Wayasha La Kawa Atwa Habara Wahaba War Rock Wayan Salaki Ayan Wa Salaki Ba Bawa Mayam. Verse 25. What's the last one? Correct, most of correct. Waya Shabawa, La A Kal Lakam, Waya Sho Awa, Aya Na Yaham, Waya Ra'awa, Wa Hana, Arakat, Yasha Ma'ai, A Layam, Ba'a, Maga La'aid, Waga Malayaham, Nasha Aya Ayam. Nakaat Watazaraya Walat Hawa Lakayum Lahawa Rayad Matazara Ma. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 37, verse, what was it?
37, verse 19 through 25.
Most on Christ. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 37, verse 19 in the English. And they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh. Verse 20. Come now,
You see how they say mocking them.
Yeah,
They ain't calling Joe this dreamer coming. You know these black folks, man.
And this
The-
the younger brother.
Yeah, the younger brothers. You can't tell me this book ain't written by blacks, Hispanic, they make Indians. Only we talk like that.
That's right.
Think of this dreaming head ass. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, come on, man. Go ahead, brother.
God. But verse 20. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him and cast him into some pit. And we will say, some evil beast had devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. Verse 21. And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him. Verse 22. And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him in this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands to deliver him to his father again. Verse 23. And it came to pass when Joseph was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Joseph of his coat of many colors that was on him. Verse 24. And they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty. There was no water in it. Verse 25. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt.
Ishmaelites. You know, there's only 18 nations. Ishmael will be the Middle Eastern. You understand what I'm saying? Arab, the so-called, aka the Arab man.
Right.
You understand? Go ahead, brother.
Come on, it's the book of Genesis, chapter 37, verse 26 in the Hebrew. Waya Amar, Yahawada, Al, Akyawa, Ma, Batazai, Kaya, Naharag, At, Akyanawa, Wakasa, Yanawa, At, Damawa. Verse 27, Lakawa, Wana Makar, Nawa, Laya Shamai, Alayam. Good night. Waya da Nawa, Al, Taha, Slaki, Tahaya, Ban, Kaya, Akya, Nawa, Bashara, Nawa, Hawai, Wayash, Ma'ai, Wan. Akyawa, verse 28. Waya I Barawa Anayash Salaki Anashayam Mada Ya Na Yom Sakah Rayam Waya Mashakwa Wa I Salaki Waya I Lawa At Wasapat Salaki Waya Sap Man Haba War Waya Makar Wa At Yawasap Laya Shama I Layum Ba'ai Shariyum Kasap Waya Baya Awa At Wayasap Matazara Ya Slaka Matazara Ya Ma verse 29 Wayashab Ra'ah Waban Al Habawar Wahana Ayan Waya Sap Baba War Waya Kora'ai At Baga Dayawa verse 30 Waya Shab Al Akiyawa Waya Amar Hayalad Aya Nanawa Wa'a Naya Ana Anya Ba'a. What was the last one? 30. Okay, come on. Verse 31. Waya kwa kawa at kata nat waya sap waya shaka tawa sha'ai ra. It's like a sha'ai yar wa I za yom waya ta ba lawa at hakat nat badam verse 32 waya shalakatwa it's like a waya shakawa waya shalakwa salakia at kat nat hapa sayam waya ba ya awa al aba yaham waya amarwa za'at mata za'a nawa hakar na'a hakat nat Hanak Hawaii La'ah. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 37, verse 20 in the English. Is it 20? No, it's 26 in the English. Salaki. And Judah said unto his brethren, what proof is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come and verse 27, come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh, and his brethren were content. Good night. Verse 28. Then there passed his Midianites merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt. Verse 29. And Reuben returned unto the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes.
And this is the beginning of how we got in, one of us getting into Egypt right here, Joseph. Right. That's how Joseph ended up in Egypt. You're reading it right here in the Bible. You understand? Right. He was sold to some, Arabs, and the Arabs carried him right on into Egypt. That's right. You understand? Go ahead, brother.
Come. Book of Genesis, chapter 37, verse 30. And he returned unto his brethren and said, the child is not, and I, whither shall I go? Verse 31. And they took Joseph's coat and killed a kid of the goats and dipped the coat in the blood. Verse 32. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, this have we found. Now, know now whether it be thy son's coat or no. Good night. Verse 33. It's like this is the book of Genesis, chapter 37, verse 33 in the Hebrew. Wayakayara'a, it's like Wayakara'a, Waya Amar, Katanath, Banya, Kaya, Ra'a, Allah, it's like Akala, Ta Hawa, Tarap, Waya Sap, verse 34, Waya Kora'ai, Yaquab, Shama La. Shamalat Yahweh Wayashum Shak Bamath Nawaya Wayata Abal Al Banwa Yamayam Rabayam, verse 35. Wayakwamawa Kal Banya Slaki Banyawa Wakal Banath Yawa Lanaka Mawa. Good night. Waya Mawan Laha Tana Kam Waya Amar Kaya Arad Al Banya Akal Sha'Allah Waya Bak Atwa Abayawa. Verse 36. Wahama Da Namyum Makara Atwa Al Matazarayum Lapa Wata Ya Par Sarayas Parai Shar Hata Ba Hatab Kayum. Right. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 38, verse 1 in the Hebrew. Wayahaya Ba'ait Haha Wa'a Waya Rad.
38 verse 1.
Come on. That was the last
Oh,
one.
Hebrew, yeah, go ahead. You got it.
Okay, come. Waya Rad. Okay, come. Yahawada Salaki. Ma'at Ha Salaki Akyawa Ra Wayat Ayash Ida Light Salaki Adala Maya Washamwa Ha Salaki Ka Ra, verse 2. Waya Ra'ah Sham Yahawada Bath Ayash Kana Ya Washamwa Sawai Wakwak. It's like a Waya Kwak Waya Ba'a Alaya. You said verse 2, right?
Verse 3.
Okay, come on. Verse 3. Wata Har Wata Lad Ban Waya Kora'a At Shemwa Id. It's like R. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 37, verse, what was it?
From 37 and verse 26.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 30.
No. 37, 33.
Okay, come on. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 37, verse 33 in the English. And he knew it and said, it is my son's coat. An evil beast had devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces. Verse 34. And Jacob rent his clothes and put sackcloth upon his loins and mourned for his son many days.
So they try to say an animal tore him up.
Right.
That's where the blood and everything come from. That's the excuse for, abandoning their brother, and he got sold off into Egypt. Until the father, he didn't got shredded to pieces by some wild beast. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Come on. Verse 35. And all his sons and his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, for I will go down into the grave until my son mourning. Thus his father wept for him. Verse 36. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's and captain of the guard. Potiphar. The book of Genesis, chapter 38, verse 1 in the English. And it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adulamite, whose name was Hirah. Verse 2. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua, and he took her and went into her. Verse 3. And she
Judah went into a what? Heathen. Canaanite, man. Well, let's just see if that, what's her name? Shua. All right, keep reading.
Verse 3. And she consumed and bare a son and called his name Good night. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 38, verse 4 in the Hebrew. Wata har awad wata lad ban wata kora'a at shemwa ana 1, verse 5. Wata sap awad wahalad ban waha kora'a at shemwa shalah Waya Saka Wahaya Wahaya, Baba Salaki, Bakaza, Yab, Salaki Bala Dat Baladata, Atwa, verse 6, Wayakwak, Yahawada, Asha, La'ar, Baka wa Rawa, Washama, Hamar, Salaki Tamar, verse 7, Waya Haya, Ar, Bakawar, Yahawada, Ra'ai, Ba'ai Yanaya, Yahweh, Ya Waya Ma Waya Mat Hawa, Yahweh, verse 8, Waya Amar, Yahawada, La'a wa Ban, Ba'a, Al, Ashat, Akiya, Akiyak, Waya Bum, Ata, Waha Kwam, Zerai, La'a Kayak, verse 9, Waya Dai, An Awa Nam, Awanan, Kaya, La'a, Lawa, Yahaya, Hazarai, Waha, Ya, Ba'a, Al, Ayash, Slake, Ashat, Akyawa, Washak, Ta, Slake, Washakat, Arataza, Labalat, Ya, Na, Natwa, Slake, Nathan, Zarai, La'ak Yawa, verse 10, Wayarai, Ba'ayana, Ya, Yahweh, Ashar, Aisha, Wayamat, Gam, Atwa. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 38, verse 4 in the English. And she conceived and bare, and she conceived again and bare a son, and she called his name Onan. Verse 5. And she yet again conceived and bare a son and called his name Shalah. Shalah, and he was at Kezeb when she bare him. Verse 6. And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Most High, and the Most High slew him. Verse 8. And Judah said unto Onan, Go in unto thy brother's wife and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. Verse 9. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his, and it came to pass when he went in unto his brother's seed, it's like a brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give the seed to his brother. Verse 10. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. What is it? 11.
Yeah, we'll stop at verse 10 and 38, verse 11 in Hebrew.
And
that's the Onan, right? Remember, they try to, a lot of Christians try to use this verse, talking about, what, and how he's wrong, Onan, to not spill your, seed upon the ground or whatever.
Right.
But that's right. He disobeyed the Lord, and it said that he displeased the Most High.
Right.
It's disobedience. So, freaky Christians can knock it off with all that garbage.
Right.
We don't get into that right now. Go ahead, brother.
God is the book of Genesis, chapter 38, verse 11.
Christians.
Right. 38, verse 11 in the Hebrew. Waya Amar, Yahawada, Latamar, Latamar, Kala Tawa, Shabya, Ala Ma Nayat, Abba Yak, Aid, Yaga Dal, Shalah, Banya, Kaya, Amar, Pan, Yama Wat, Gam, Hawa'a, Ka'a, Kaya, Wata Lak, Hamar, it's like a Thamar, Wata Shab, Bayat, Abya, verse 12, Waya Rabba, it's like a Raya Wabwa, Haya Mayam, Wata Mat, Bat, Shawai, Ashat, Yahawada, Waya Nahum, it's like Waya Nakam, Yahawada, Waya Al, God Zaya, Taza'a Nawa, Hawa'a, Watka Yara, Ra'ai Hawa, Ha'ai Dalamaya, Tamanat Tamanata, verse 13. Wayagad Lata Mar Laamar Hana Kamayak Allah Allah Tamanat Tamanata Lagaz Taza'ah Nawa, verse 14. Watasar Bagadia Allah Manawata Ma'ai Laya Wata Kum Batazai Yap Wata the Al Lap Wata Shab Ba Sa Slaka Bapa Tak Aya Nayam Ashar Al the Rock Tama Na Ta Kaya Ra'ata Kaya Gadal Shalah Waha Awa Slaka Waha Wa'a La'a Nata Na Lawa La'a Shah. Verse 15. Waya Ra'a Yahawada Waya Kash Ba Waya Kashaba Laza Wa Na Kaya Kasa Ta Panya Salaki. Verse 16. Wayat Alaya Al Hada Rock Waya Amar Haba Na'a Ana Salaki Abba Wa'a Alayak Kaya La'a Yadai Kaya Kalatwa Hawa'a wa ta amar ma tatan laya kaya tawa taba wa ya. What's the last one?
17.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 38, verse 17. Waya amar anakaya ala salaka asha lak gadaya Isa young man hataza awan salaka hataza an wata amar tatan ira bawan id shala kat. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 38, verse Salakia. What is it, 12?
Yep.
12 in the English. And in the process of the time, it's like in the process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died, and Judah was comforted and went up into his sheep shearers to Timnath, he and his friend Harah and the Adulamite. Verse 13. And it was told Tamar, saying, Behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep. Verse 14. And she put her widow's garments off from her and covered her with a veil and wrapped herself and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnath. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. When Judah, verse 15, when Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot because she had covered her face. Verse 16, and he turned her to her by the way and said, Go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee. For he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. Good night. And she said, What wilt thou give me that thou mayest come in unto me? Oh, damn, she sound like a harlot, though.
Yeah.
Verse 17, and he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, Wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? Verse 18, and he said, What pledge shall I give thee? And she said, Thy signet and thy bracelets and thy staff that is in thine hand. And he gave it to her and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. Well, if that ain't Salaki, if that ain't Judah,
Right.
good night. Well, love some whores now.
Love it.
Salaki, and love to pay for them.
Yeah.
Good night, Salaki, sir.
You right about that. All right. Yeah, that's it.
Come on,
And just up here, Marty.
my
Laya Shalom.
So I'm going to aqua down, rise, turn, face east. We finish out with the prayers.
This is the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malatuka, Taba'ah, Ratazayaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Hayah, Bashemayim, Nathan Lanao, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalak now, Kawatwa now, Kasalak now, Kabawati now, Wala'ah, Tabiaya now, Banasaya one, Abal, Hawashaya now, Mayan, Raya, Slaki, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwat, Waha'ala, Wataparat, Lawalamya, a month.
In the English, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it.
This is the book of this is Hakak, the power in the Hebrew. Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, Baba Kashah, Nathan Lanao, Hakak, Larapa'ah, Kal Makalah, Wakal Marawa, Hakak, Latahar, Hamatazarayim, Hakak, Lahakim, Hamathium, Hakak, Arakawaz, Hamata'ala, Lagarashan, Ba'ashem, Yahawashah, the water among.
I think it was the other way. You got it. No, it's in English. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahweh, thank you, so be it.
This is the blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh, Wa Yahweh Shah, Wa Yamaka'alam, Wa Alahayim, Matazabiyah, Alawap Yahanna, Alawapim, Hasaranyim, Hakwatazayayim, Hakayayoyim, Wa Akwatium, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, the water among.
In the English, bless you, Yahweh, and Yahweh Shai, and Michael, and the angels, commanding during YAHANNA, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you, so be it.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 121 in the Hebrew. Asha'ah, Ayanya, Ahariam, Ma'ayan, Yaba'ai, Azariah, Ma'aim, Yahweh, Asha, Shemayim, Wa'arataza, Ayathan, Lamawat, Regalka, Ayanawam, Shamarka, Hana, La'ah, Yanawam, Wala'ah, Yayashan, Shawamar, Yasha'ala, Yahweh, Shamarka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Ayad, Yamyaka, Yawamam, Hashamash, La'ayakaka, Wayarak, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashamarka, Makarai, Yashamar, Atnapaska, Yahweh, Yashamar, Tazaatka, Wabuaka, Ma'ata, Wa'aid Awalam.
In the English, I will lift up my eyes into the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from Yahweh, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Yasha'Allah shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul.
He shall preserve thy soul.
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out
and thy coming in,
and thy coming in.
for this time forth
This time forth
and even forevermore.
even forevermore.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 83 in the Hebrew. Alahayim, Al-Dama Yalaka, Al-Takarash, wa Al-Tashakwat, Al-Kaya, Hana, Al-Yabyaka, Yahama, Yawan, Ra'ash, Al-Aimaka, Ya'ira Yawa, Sawada, Wayata, Ya'ai Tazawa, Al-Tazapawanyaka, Amarwa, Lakawa, Wanakakidum, Magalia, Wala'a, Yazakar, Sham Yasha'alam, Awada, Kaya, Nawa'aitazawa, Laba, Yakadwa, Ayaka, Baryat, Yakaratwa, Ahaya, Arawam, Wayashama'ala, Yum, Mawa'aba, Wahagarium, Gabal, Wa'aimawan, Wa'aimalak, Palashat, I'm Yeshabya, Tazawar, Gum Ashawar, Nalawa, Amam, Hayawa, Zarawai, Labaya Lawat, Salah, Aishalahum, Kamajan, Kasaya, good night, Kasaya Sarah, Kayabyan, Banakal, Koyashwan, Nashamadwa, Baaya Dara, Hayawa, Daman, La'idma, Shayatamwa, Nadayab, Mawa, Kairab, Wakazaba, Wakazabak, Wakatazal, Mana'ai, Kalnayasakamwa, Ashar, Amarwa, Nayarashah, Lanawa, At, Na'at, Slakia, Na'awat, Alahayam, Alhaya, Shayatamwa, Kagagala, Kakwash, Lapanyaraka, Kaash, Ta'ayar, Wakalahaba, Tahalat, Hariyam, Khan, Taradatma, Basayaraka, Wabasa, Wapatka, Tabahalam, Mala'a, Panyaham, Kualawan, Wayabakwashwa, Shamka, Yahawa, Yabashwa, Waya, Bahalwa, Al-Ya'id, Waya Kaparwa, Waya Abadwa, Waya Dawa, Kaya Ata, Shamka, Yahawa, Labadka, Ayawan, Al-Kaha Arataza.
In the English, Psalm 83, keep not thy silence, O Yahweh, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh, for lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off for being a nation. In the name of Yasha may be no more remembrance, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gabal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Selah, do unto them as unto the Midianites, as unto Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb and like Zeheb. Yea, all their princes, as Zabah and as Zalmunna, who said, let us take to ourselves the house of Yahweh in possession. Oh, my power, make them like a wheel, as a stubble before the wind, as a fire burneth a wood, as the flame set the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, make them afraid with thy storm, fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name. O Yahweh, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the most high over all the earth. All right, sorry. All right, men of Israel, men of Israel, Gird thyself, prepare us for the Torah. Come on around.
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabrak Yah. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabrak Yah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabrak Yah.
Men of Israel, Majim, you know, give a one courtesy salute to the teacher, man. Men of Israel, Ma'ab Shabbat, Majim, Barak, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabrakatah,
Yahweh Hashem Shabrak Yah.
Yahya Matah, and his sisters. Sabbath dismissed, man.